Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be taking a look at my Week 12 NFL Power Rankings tier list, whatever you want to call it. Before we get started, Thanksgiving holiday is coming right up, so content will be coming out a little bit later, especially because the Packers are playing on Thanksgiving. There's not going to be any day after game review on Friday because I'll still be with my family and everything. So that will be delayed till Monday of next week as well. And also, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more, and let's go ahead and break down our tiers. We have Super Bowl for the teams that I think we are separating themselves into Super Bowl contenders, division, wild card, mid, bad, and tanking teams. So let's go ahead and get started with the Arizona Cardinals, who I am putting in tanking because even though they have still looked competitive with Kyler Murray, they're still losing games. They're not really playing that great of football. A lot of people are making a comparison to like the 2021 Lions, where you have the effort, you have the heart there, but not the results because the talent is lacking, and it shows a lot of good culture. I say in a year or two, this team can be really, really good. It's just right now, they don't have the pieces right now. But I think they're going to be pretty comfortable in keeping Kyler Murray, as he has played pretty well coming back from injury. Don't be surprised if their number 2 pick to take Marvin Harrison Jr. to pair with him, because that would be dangerous. Next up, we got the Atlanta Falcons on a bye week. I'm still putting them in bad because I hate the way Arthur Smith coaches this team. They should be a lot better than they are. And the fact that they went back to Desmond Ridder tells me all I need to know about this team. They're not trying the rest of the year and are going to waste another top 10 draft pick on an offensive weapon that Arthur Smith will not use, because that's how they roll in Atlanta. All I gotta say from that. Next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens, who Super Bowl tier. They're 8-3. They currently have the number 1 seed in the AFC, one of the best teams in football. They did get lucky on Thursday Night Football with the unfortunate injury to Joe Burrow, who is now out for the year for the Bengals. So Bengals are basically out of the playoffs at this point. But they also lost Mark Andrews, their star tight end, potentially for the year. We don't know quite how long he's going to be out yet. But the Ravens keep rolling. They have still a very tough division ahead of them, with Cleveland really playing well and the Steelers still being the Steelers for some reason. But they're still a Super Bowl contender for me, so Baltimore are up there. Next up is Buffalo, who just missed out of being a wild card. They're a half game back of the last wild card position in the AFC. They beat up the Jets. I mean, the offense looked right. They looked better this week compared to previous weeks. They did what they were supposed to do against the Jets. Frankly, a good Jets defense still. And they really shut down the Jets offense as well. But that's not too hard with Zach Wilson falling on his own bum during the game. But Buffalo, you're on the right track. You're not quite there yet. It's a very competitive AFC. So it's going to be down in the wire versus a lot of these teams in the lower wild card, higher mid-tier in the AFC. Next up, we got Carolina. Worst team of football. What are you doing there? Like, seriously, what are you doing? Bryce Young, a lot of questions being asked about him right now, especially in comparison to what CJ Stroud is doing. Granted, Young has the worst roster around him, especially offensively. No weapons, no O-line, no run game. No quarterback was succeeding there. So, but we got to wonder how he's going to be doing. So, you're in tanking tier. Next up is Chicago, who I'm moving back down to tanking. They're 3-8. Not that great a team. They almost beat the Lions, but they blew it. They blew the lead, keeping that tank alive for 2 top 5 draft picks because Carolina is still terrible, and you got their first round pick. That was a great trade for the Bears. But Justin Fields came back from injury. He looked pretty solid. It's having a lot of debates going on right now if they should keep him, move on to like a Caleb Williams type guy. So Chicago, you're still in tanking tier, but showing some good progress. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who I feel so bad for them. They're in mid still because their record's 5-5, but their season's over. Joe Burrow, their star quarterback, the guy who was leading them on a massive succession of good games, out for the year with a wrist injury. Absolute worst case scenario for Cincinnati, especially because everyone else in that division is above them in record, and the AFC is super, super competitive. So I highly doubt they'll be able to make it in, especially with Jake Browning at quarterback. All they got to do is get healthy and get revved up for next year because your season's done in Cincinnati. And I feel so bad saying that. You deserve so much better. Speaking of Ohio teams, Cleveland Browns, currently in a wild card. The reason why they're wild card not division is because they're not a division leader. I say that for division leaders. That's just how I roll. Cleveland, though. Ugly game against Steelers. That is peak AFC North football, but they got the win 13-10 over Pittsburgh. I'm still wondering what their offense is going to look like with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They signed Joe Flacco to the practice squad, and I just really don't know how their offense is going to do, but that defense can carry an offense to a deep playoff run. So Cleveland, they're a dangerous team. Watch out for Cleveland. They have been very, very good all year, and I expect them to continue that way in the future. Next up is the Dallas Cowboys. They did their job. They beat up on the Panthers. Not really much else to say about that because they did play the worst team in football. I still want to see them against a good team, but they're doing what they're supposed to do at the moment, and they're going to make the playoffs pretty handily, I'd say. Another team in mid is the Denver Broncos. Big win over the Vikings on Monday Night Football, moving to 5-5 on the year. They really have been playing pretty well in the past few weeks, moving to 5-5, getting back into the playoff race, second in their division right now as well. I don't know if it'll be enough for Denver to make the playoffs as there's a lot of competition there, but good on them from turning on what was a terrible start to the season. They gave up 70 points to the Dolphins and making it look like they got progress right now. I think that shows a lot of good coaching, a lot of good execution by the players, and good on you, Denver. Good on you. Next up is the Detroit Lions, who are still in division tier for me because they almost lost to the Bears. It took a massive comeback from them to beat Chicago. A great team, a Super Bowl contending team, blows out the Bears. I'm sorry I have to say it, but they got a chance to really get back right against Green Bay on Thanksgiving. They have a good opportunity to do so because the Packers defense could not stop them last time. But I give them credit. They came back in that game. Jared Goff, after throwing 3 picks, came back, led a game-winning drive. Lions are in good hands, and they should be a favorite in the NFC along with the Eagles. So good on you, Detroit. Next up is the Green Bay Packers, who I still have them bad because they have a losing record right now, but the past 3 weeks has shown a lot of encouraging signs. Jordan Love has looked a lot more comfortable. The young weapons, especially Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, have been being monsters. The defense is still, I know they don't give up a lot of points, but they are still very, very frustrating to watch. They did lose Aaron Jones for a decent bit of time with an MCL sprain. Also learned that Luke Musgrave, the really good rookie tight end, has apparently been in a hospital due to an abdominal injury that he played through on Sunday. But the Packers are showing a lot of progress right now with the young offense. Won't be enough, I think, for playoffs this year. But next season, the Packers can be a really, really good team. And what should be a still weak NFC. Next up is the Houston Texans, who are 6-4. I thought this team would be picking top 5 in the draft and giving her a pick to Cleveland. Not the Cleveland, like whoever they traded up for third. I think Arizona. And it's just like, where the heck did this come from? The Texans are been a fantastic surprise. They're competing with Jacksonville for the AFC South crown. They already have the first win on the season. C.J. Stroud, offensive rookie of the year, been playing super well. Even with the 3 interceptions this week, he still led his team to a victory. D'Amico Ryan should be up for Coach of the Year for what he's doing with the team that everyone thought would be bottom 5 in the league. And now they'll be in the playoffs at the end of the day. Good on you, Houston. You guys got a stud head coach, a stud quarterback, some good receivers, and you're just going to keep adding pieces from there. Houston could be a problem in the next couple years. Let's just go with that. Team that's in mid is Indianapolis. Not really much to say about them. They keep chugging along basically around 500. Nothing really too exciting about them. But, hey, for a team without Anthony Richardson after week 3, basically, they've been pretty impressive. So, good on you, Indy. You got a good culture there going on right now, so good for you. Actually, I'm going to put you behind these teams. Next up is Jacksonville, who is still in divisional tier. They blew out the Titans, what they're supposed to do. Trevor Lawrence had one of his best days ever, had 4 total touchdowns, 2 passing and 2 rushing. Offense looked really good. Calvin Ridley got involved. The defense really smothered Will Levis. And so they 7-3. not one of the top teams in the AFC right now, but still a team you have to consider when you're playing them because they're still a very talented roster. Next up is Kansas City, who, man, I don't know, because I'm moving you down to division. Not because you lost the Eagles. It's because your offense, even with Mahomes, has not looked that great. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for another dominant game from this team. I still believe they can be Super Bowl worthy, but I just think that right now, with the way that offense is playing, you cannot win a Super Bowl with the way that offense is playing right now. The receivers are dropping too many passes. Mahomes has been very turnover prone, which is something that's not really being discussed about. I think he has almost the same amount of interceptions as Jordan Love, but he has not been getting a lot of criticism for it. And it's just, I'm starting to be a little bit concerned for Kansas City. Granted, it was against the Eagles this week, but we've seen a lot of performances from them. I think I'm finally ready to drop them down to division. Next up is the Chargers. Bad. I feel bad for Justin Herbert because they should have won that game easily. But quite a few drops by receivers that should have been touchdowns happened. And it's just, Brandon Staley is a terrible coach. He out Joe Barry. I don't know how that was even possible. But he did it. And the Packers carved his defense up all game. Dontavian Wicks had 3 big receptions. Jaden Reed was fantastic against them. And right now, he is on the hot seat. Brandon Staley is on the hot seat. I think he should have been fired, but that's what I got to say there. Another team that's still kind of bad is the LA Rams. They're able to get the victory over the Seahawks this week, but they're still kind of just a wishy-washy team. Not really a lot of talent there. They're a shell of the Super Bowl winning team a couple years ago, and so you're still being down there and bad. Vegas, moving you up to mid because you guys played very well against the Dolphins. Granted, you did lose. Ian O'Connell threw a couple interceptions in the fourth quarter that really hamstrung you, but you guys have been playing super well ever since the firing of Josh McDaniels, and you proved that you can hang with some tough teams by taking on the Dolphins pretty well here. And the Dolphins normally destroy bad teams, so that's very, very impressive for them. So, Raiders, I think you're on the right track. It'd be interesting to see how you guys do down the stretch, but you're being a lot more competitive. Offense looks a lot better than it did with that snake. So, you're in mid for this week. Next up is Miami Dolphins. They're in division tier. Tua did not look that good. Had a couple of turnovers that really weren't great. And overall was just a very mid-team performance. You got to start wondering where that offense from the first half of the season went because it's been a few weeks since we saw it. They still should make the playoffs, but the division is no longer as clear as it should be, as the Bills have been trying to catch up a little bit here. So Miami, you're in a little bit of trouble, but you're still division for now. Next up is the Minnesota Vikings. They lost by 1 point against the Broncos. Josh Dobbs' magic did not work this week. You gotta wonder if that could affect the rest of the season, especially with them being currently the last wild card team in the NFC. Teams like the Packers maybe could come up and sneak around, but you never know. But right now, you're still a wild card team. You're still playing decent football, so you don't really have too much to be worried about there. Next up is New England, another team that's bad. You got to wonder what they're doing quarterback this week after the bye as they benched Mac Jones last time. And overall, it's just a very poor roster, not a lot of talent there. And even the defense is not playing that well, which is normally a Bill Belichick hallmark. So you're down in tanking right there. Next up is the Saints, who by default are winning the NFC South. Don't really have much to say about them there, coming off their bye, still winning the division. Everyone else in their division lost, so that's a very good sign for New Orleans. But they're the worst division team by far, so I'm going down there. Next up is the Giants, who were able to scrap together a pretty impressive win for them against the Commanders. Saquon Barkley played really, really well. Very happy. He was on my fantasy team. Got me 30 points. Tommy DeVito, even though he got absolutely blasted by the Commanders' defense, played really solidly and had 3 touchdown passes. So good for him there. Still, I think you're one of the worst teams in football. And so don't really know much how we're going to go the rest of the year way, but good to you guys. Good to you for getting the win. Team I'm putting down in the lower end of bad is New York Jets because they're starting Tommy Boyle. I didn't even know his first name, Boyle. The guy who used to be the clipboard holder for Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. Tim Boyle. That's who it is. Zach Wilson's not the third-string quarterback. That's how bad it has gotten for you guys. I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers is not saving the season, not saving this team. He's going to get killed behind that O-line like every other quarterback has been this year for you guys. And Zach Wilson, he should not see another snap in the NFL. This kid does not have it. He is terrible. He is bad. And the Jets are a bad football team, even with that defense still playing some decent football. Your offense is absolutely terrible. So you're going down there in bad. Next up is Philadelphia, number 1 team this week. Took down the Chiefs. Only one loss on the year, 9-1. They haven't been winning by a lot of points, but hey, they're being effective. They're playing good defense. The offense is doing enough to get the win. And so, yeah, Philadelphia, you're up there. Super Bowl number 1 team on my tier list this week. Good job. Pittsburgh, wild card tier. Still, don't know how. You guys are one of the most frustrating offenses to watch. But good news for Steelers fans is Matt Canada, their terrible offensive coordinator, has been fired about dang time, about a year and a half too late. And so it'd be interesting to see what they do in the future on the offense. Because Kenny Pickett does not look good. Najee Harris has been outplayed by Jalen Warren. And so you got to wonder if a new coordinator will help fix things up there. So Steelers still in wild card for now. Another team still in wild card just because of the terrible, terrible NFC, Seattle. You guys lost that game mainly because Geno Smith got injured for most of the game. You still almost want to miss the game-winning field goal. I think you'll still be fine to make the playoffs, but you're a very weak playoff team. Don't see you guys getting too far there. San Francisco, they're back in Super Bowl tier. This is back-to-back weeks. They have dominated another team. They are playing very good football. Brock Purdy had a literal perfect passer rating game. And so that's the San Francisco team we were scared of earlier in the year. And so moving back up to Super Bowl tier for me. Actually, I'm going to move Detroit. Nah, Detroit's still being in division because they almost lost to the Bears. Tampa Bay, bad football team. Not really much else to say there. There's not a lot of talent there. Baker Mayfield is doing his best, but they ran into San Francisco. Did not play well there at all. So they're down there. These two teams, I'm moving into tanking because these two teams are just terrible. They lost to the Giants. That's why you're in tanking too, because you lost to the Giants. And it's pretty obvious that the Titans are tanking. They're trying to see what they got in Will Levis before they move on to next year. And so that is what we have there. Oh, I apologize for that, folks. One of my neighbors' baby is crying right now outside. So, sorry about that noise. I hope that little guy's okay, though. Makes me sad hearing a baby cry. But here are the tiers. In order, we have Super Bowl are the Eagles, Ravens, and 49ers. Division is the Lions, Chiefs, Jaguars, Dolphins, and Saints. Wildcard teams are the Browns, Cowboys, Steelers, Texans, Vikings, and Seahawks. Mid-tier, we have the Bills, Bengals, Broncos, Colts, and Raiders. Bad, I have the Packers, Chargers, Rams, Falcons, Jets, and Buccaneers. And tanking, I have the Bears, Commanders, Titans, Cardinals, Patriots, Giants, Panthers. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe below. And I'll see you again tomorrow with my Week 12 predictions. And then it's Turkey Day. And I cannot wait for that. See you guys very soon.